Hey folks, welcome to another edition of Fitness Friday Posi-TIPS with Rachelle. Folks, it's always great to be here with you on yet another Fitness Friday, the best day of the week. I am back, and I'm happy to continue this conversation here on the importance of confidence and leadership. The importance of confidence and leadership. Last time, I kicked off this three-part series by highlighting the power of perspective. Yes, perspective. It is so easy for us to get tunnel vision. We just kind of get in our own little worlds, get stuck there and stay there, but it is so important for us to break out of that and always strive to seek external perspectives. External perspectives. So the power of perspective is very important. And I wanted to bridge this episode on bridge to this episode on the power of accountability by highlighting just a few more quick examples that highlight the power of perspective. You'll recall during this marketing series here that I had here for the last few weeks prior to the kickoff of this episode, highlighted, again, this is not a promotional snippet for Walmart Plus program, anything else, but just want to highlight this as an example. All right, the Walmart Plus program and how I highlighted that. So from the fall of 2020, when they kicked off their program, which is a direct competitor to Amazon Prime, as I've discussed in past episodes. So the 1 year mark highlighted that September 14th article from CNBC that highlighted that Deutsche Bank had stated that they were at 32 million members a year post-launch. So again, the power of perspective to know a year post-launch, Walmart was sitting at the time at 32 million members, and I can only imagine what that number is like now. I check on a weekly basis. I Google it to try to see if there's any articles, any updates of what that number is going to be, because they have been very aggressive, and this is an example of that. So you can see that they've got the exterior back location of this Valpak direct mail piece with the promotional coupons for various industries and categories are inside, but they have very aggressively promoted this program online, offline, in store. And so, but you see the power of understanding and knowing and recognizing, hey, Walmart went from 0 to 32 million in a year. So it's very, very important. Again, you don't hear that to feel bad about yourself, to feel bad about your membership numbers, to feel bad about your own marketing efforts and how you've struggled to gain new members. It is just the perspective of knowing that, hey, there are some organizations and some entities and corporations in this country that can really go from 0 to 32 million pretty quickly, relatively speaking, in a year. So the power of perspective, just a few more examples here. Yes, I wrote a few down. So, you recall last year I talked about the joys of serving as a poll worker here for the city of Novi. So, I served as a poll worker, first time ever, March 2020. So, March 2020, I also served in August 2020, and I became a precinct for all 3 times, precinct co-chair for the city of Novi. So, told myself, oh my goodness, it doesn't get any better than this, yada yada, this has to be the best precinct ever, the best location ever, yada yada. And so for 2021, August 2021, in typical Rachelle fashion, I was saying, well, you know what, I want to reach out again. I want to get outside of my comfort zone here in this situation of being a poll worker. Reached out to some other suburbs here in our Metro Detroit area and actually end up working the August 2021 election in the city of Dearborn, which is my old stomping grounds. I lived in Dearborn when I first moved to Michigan. Fond memories of Dearborn. And worked that election and then came back to Novi for November 2021 as a precinct co-chair again. But I remember thinking, oh yeah, it's a wonderful experience. It can't get any better than what I've experienced here in the city of Novi, and I just wanted to point out that poll worker experience was awesome. It was a well-oiled machine. So once again, when we step outside of our comfort zone, many times we will find out pretty quickly, hey, there's a lot of good things happening in other places other than where I am. So the power of perspective, and I'm so grateful to John Gehan, who's the elections clerk for the city of Dearborn, as well as our own city of Novi elections clerk, Courtney Hanson. And I reached out and said, hey, I want to do this. I want to enlarge and expand my vision and experience. Let me look out. And actually our Novi election clerk, Courtney, provided me, here's some cities that are going to be having elections for August because Novi didn't this year. So just a wonderful example of the power of perspective. Power of perspective. Yes, number two. In the fall of 2021, I've shared with you a number of times over the years how I do what I call fitness field trips, where I go and I go grand openings, grand reopenings, just work out at different facilities. Why? To expand and enlarge my vision. And so in fall of 2021, I actually toured a local franchise for Hotworks, HOTWORX here in our Metro Detroit area. And so it enlarged my vision. And so it is a infrared heat sauna based concept in which it's, they have TV screens in each of the rooms. And so they have instructors, so it's virtually led. And so that was very insightful for me. For one, as you all know, if you watched enough episodes, you know how important temperature control is to me. But to be in that facility where, their members, love that concept, where they're in these rooms and it's 90, 100, and 120 degrees. I think 130 degrees was the highest. And I thought to myself, it was so hot. And I thought to myself, I don't know how anybody could do this. It is so hot in here. And you're kind of looking at a screen, watching somebody, but people love it. And people love concepts like that. So that's why I do that. So there's areas that I don't have experience in, that my experience and my exposure is limited. That's why I do those fitness field trips, to learn, to grow, to enlarge my own vision, and recognize that fitness and health and wellness means different things to different people, and they have different ways of making things happen. So that was a really good experience. Yes, the next example. Years ago when I kicked off Fitness Friday Posi-TIPS, I was at Powerhouse Gym in Novi, and I had the support and loyal viewing and watching of Powerhouse Gym co-founder William Dabish, and I sort of will always appreciate his support, all these years later. But so one thing you will find here on Fitness Friday is, again, we all have tunnel vision, and we would all be this, so we would all, anybody in that situation, you start a company, you start whatever the case may be, you're going to have this, from a consulting standpoint, this is very, very common, where people are just kind of like, well, my company or my business or my whatever is awesome. Why would I want to look at other people? Why would I want to look at other entities? And that's why I told you last week, that is just a fundamental lesson I learned at Northwestern, that if you're doing competitive analysis, which again in our roles we should be doing, and as they were training us to do, you're keeping it's giving you hopefully some just a perspective of other people and what they're doing, and just recognizing that there's more than just you and whatever your corporation is and whatever your entity is doing. It just helps to enlarge your vision and keep you grounded, hopefully. And so in that particular situation, Rachelle, you're going to learn a lot about what other people are doing, because my philosophy is, I'm never a spokesperson just sitting here talking about rah. Let me talk about my gym every week, whatever gym that happens to be. That is never the case. That has never been the case. That will never be the case. I'm operating as a professional, and so objectivity is important. And so, that was just a great experience, just in terms of, building my own confidence and just, again, being a truth teller and just being objective in those situations. And just recognizing, there's a concept, certainly if you study leadership, you're just going to learn that, founder's pride. Founder's pride. Many founders feel like, well, I'm number one. My entity is number one. But one thing you'll learn here on Fitness Friday is, and I've talked about it over the years, and I've studied various entities, but that's founder's pride. It's very common for founders to feel like, well, I'm the best, my whatever is the best. But you'll also learn that other founders of competitive situations, whether it be franchises, businesses, whatever, also feel that they're the best, also feel that they are number one. So that is just very, very common, but it just will I always strive here on Fitness Friday to have a grounding presence. And so that was just a wonderful experience, and I will always respect his humility, and just, as a co-founder, he was absolutely obsessed with feedback and making that facility better. That legacy, and there's those learning and key lessons, will always remain with me. He learned, he watched. He was a loyal watcher. And that's when I used to post more during the week, but he was like a 7-day-a-week Posi-TIPS watcher. And so I just respect that and the founder's pride, but that's my role from a consulting standpoint in any situation. It's just to provide perspective, particularly outside perspective, that you wouldn't gain otherwise. Why? Because research has shown, just in any industry, I mean, the higher levels you go towards leadership, the less likely, not always, not generalizing, the less likely people will be willing to tell you the truth or tell you what you don't want to hear. Okay, so in many cases it can turn into an echo chamber of the people just kind of, oh Mary, oh yeah, that's wonderful, that's awesome, yeah boss, that's great, whatever you say, you know, in just any aspect of society, that particular truth is certainly there. And the last example here I want to highlight is the power of perspective, is an example here from certainly in the fitness industry. Recent news, when I don't have time to go into this article, but we're just going to quote the headline, and that is, Crunch Fitness grows membership 128%, nears for 400th franchise club milestone. So Club Industry had that article. You can Google it if you're interested, or go to their website, December 9th, 2021. So again, the power of perspective, recognizing, you know, what's going on within the fitness industry and other entities and major players within the fitness industry. It's very, very important. You've got to have the external perspective. It just will help you, particularly as a leader, will just help you to be more effective in a leadership role. And so I'm going to bridge on in here, folks, to the power of accountability. Accountability is so important. And to highlight this, I'm going to kick off. And you recall last week I was talking about some power perspective examples in my own life, and I talked about, you know, my instance of a couple of instances going from a good situation to a great situation, good to great. And so as you can see here, I've got my handy steering wheel cover, my LSU. You can see I got my little holiday hat that I typically put on towards in the month of December to close out the year. And so think about one of my favorite parts of that book, Jim Collins' Good to Great, where he talks about, again, you know, the book outlines, you know, research that was conducted where they looked at companies and corporations and some of the behaviors and key traits that they had that took them from being good organizations, corporations, to great. All right, and so one of the most important points in that book, certainly in my opinion, is where he talked about, just again, that concept of, again, you picture yourself, this is a confidence and leadership episode, so you picture yourself as the leader, whether we're talking about, you know, whatever leadership role you have within the industry. So you are leading your organization, you are leading your studio, leading your gym. And so you as the leader, again, you have the vision of where you are to where you want to be. Perhaps you're good and you want to get to great, or you're already great and you want to go towards greater. All right, and so you as a leader, so you're driving the bus, all right, and you've got your employees, you've got your staff on the bus. So you're driving along, and one thing Jim pointed out in that book is there's three things that are vital, and were so important in these companies going from good to great. That is number one, when you think about this bus example, this metaphor of the bus, and again, you're driving towards your vision. Number one, you want to have the right people on the bus. All right, I'm not covering HR. I'm going to table that into 2022, but again, you want to have the right people in your organization, so to speak. Again, this is the fitness industry. Okay, fitness is very honest. I mean, how a person feels about his or her fitness is very honest. I mean, you can just look at people and tell. And I mean that respectfully. All right, but you can just, what commitment does an individual have to his or her own fitness? Okay, that can be certainly a really good clue of having the right people on the bus, people that have an interest in, passion for fitness. Because as I've alluded to in past years on HR episodes, all right, now this is pre-COVID. The fitness industry, particularly on the commercial side, particularly on the chain side, has for years had a problem with turnover. Just churning employees, management, you know, other key staff roles. And so this isn't even, we can't even say COVID is the issue. No, this is a problem that has dogged the fitness industry for many, many, many years. So I think this concept, again, good to great, but these three criteria are so important. Having the right people on the bus, number one. Number two, having the right people in the right seats. Having the right people in the right seats. So just a very quick, easy example of that is in a sales role. You know, having someone that has a profound fear of rejection. All right, and you're looking to that person to sell. You're looking to that person to upsell. You're looking to that person to close somebody that's walked into the club, foot traffic, somebody that, a prospective member. And it is hard because they are paralyzed by that fear of rejection. This is true not only in the fitness industry. I talked about this earlier the year when I did that sales series, but the fear of rejection. All right, many industries, again, they screen that out very on in the employment and the hiring process because they know. I mean, more often than not, you're going to be setting someone up to fail if they have these character challenges, these personality challenges. Not character, but personality challenges or just deficiencies in some areas, and we all do. We all have various areas where we're strong, where we're weak, where we need to grow and develop. And so that power of rejection, that fear of rejection is big in any type of sales role, all right, in any type of sales role. That's just a quick example. Lastly, you want to get the wrong people off the bus. The wrong people off the bus. So again, there's just problematic people, that's pretty self-explanatory. People that just aren't a good fit for the organization, and that's what their research has shown. All right, there's some people that don't want to be there. There's some people that have just been, members and customers that complain, and they're not a good fit, and they're not a good fit, and it's just not working out. And so those organizations that Jim Collins and his team studied, research studies showed, those are 3 key criteria that took companies from good to great. That's one of my all-time favorite books, but there's just so many wonderful lessons in that. But many organizations, corporations, businesses, studios, gyms are asking themselves, what can we do to take things to the next level? And that sales director, Kevin McKinnon, used to always say, next level thinking always achieves success. So what do you need to do to take things to the next level? That is so important. So accountability is going to get you there in terms of who is on your metaphorical bus. So the next example I just wanted to share with you here, and just when I think from an accountability standpoint here on Fitness Fridays, like I said, I started years ago. Some of you have still been rocking with me since episode 1. Appreciate your support, but I appreciate all your support. And so this is just an example. This is just, again, I mind mapped this right before this episode, but this shows you, again, from a leadership development standpoint in terms of when I started the Fitness Friday Posi-TIPS and how I keep growth and development in front of me, year after year after year. When I think about different experiences, so when you think about what were some of my weaknesses coming into these Fitness Friday Posi-TIPS, having this role, and that would be limited experience, okay? I had been exclusively gyms and fitness centers for all of those years, okay? But then what happened? The COVID-19 happened and gyms closed, so that broadened my horizon and broadened my level of exposure and experience to outdoor fitness, to home fitness. So those are 2 areas where I have certainly been strengthened in, and so again, those were deficiencies that now, unexpectedly now I've grown in those areas. And so it helps me to provide, it gives me perspective in terms of, again, people experience and appreciate fitness in different ways. So there's people that love outdoor. There's people that, just have various ways in which they engage in fitness. And so for me personally, this is where I am currently. And so you can see here I have Metro Detroit and Shreveport, Bossier City, Louisiana, as well as when I am traveling. And so just to share these with you pretty quickly. So in our Metro Detroit area, Fitness Friday Posi-TIPS. So you can see here Edge Fitness as well as Rachelle's Home Fitness Center. And then you can see here on the bottom, my fitness field trips. I've done those for years now, since day 1, where I'm going to different facilities, such as Hotworks and Orange Theory Fitness. I've been to so many different places over the years, grand openings, grand reopenings, topical and industry research. Sometimes you hear about that, sometimes you don't. But also I've done deep dives, and I continue to do deep dives. And so for the fall of 2021 on into the year 2022, I'm looking at tonal, I'm looking at Peloton, and I am looking at Ergata. I always have to remember, because that's one I actually just added yesterday, because that's actually a connected rower, membership-based connected rower. And why did I choose these 3? Okay, why? Because, connected fitness, home-based machines is something I have no experience in. Yes, I have my own machines here at Rachelle's Home Fitness Center, but they're old school. They're not connected. And so this is an area that I have very limited exposure in and experience in. But these areas and certainly that sector within the home fitness market is exploding, and certainly started exploding during COVID-19. And so you got Tonal with the LeBron James, as a key figure in that, a spokesperson. You got Peloton. They're publicly traded, so a lot of information that is constantly being produced and written about Peloton. And Ergata is something that, again, just in the last few days, I've been seeing a lot of their ads, and actually they've got a partnership, and they've got Colin Kaepernick is their spokesperson. So want to study that because, when you compare him to LeBron, Kaepernick from a PR standpoint is more of a controversial figure. So I just want to evaluate the impacts of having a more controversial figure has on the overall, just kind of what they're doing in marketing and the uptake and just all of that. So just it's always open to learning and to growing, and certainly Peloton has had their ups and downs, but just an opportunity in a segment that I have very limited experience in, but certainly is high growth in these COVID-19 times that have shifted much of what is happening towards home-based fitness. Now again, that home-based segment has always been there, but certainly COVID-19 accelerated a lot of growth in that particular sector. So, Shreveport, Bossier City, Louisiana, the newest location, Fit Nation, Bossier City. So again, I have a pay-as-you-go situation there. So when I'm in town, I can go and I can pay. But then I also have Oscar and Willette's Home Fitness Center. Now, my parents have had machines there for years and years, but not until COVID-19 and when the gyms were closed did I actually take that route. And so I actually also have outdoor, so which consists of the AC Steer Park, and they've got a huge track, and I've gone there for years and years on occasion, typically on Christmas Day. I've done that historically. So Barksdale Air Force Base. So Barksdale, yes, that's where I started. That's where I got my start. You all know that. I've highlighted that a gazillion times over the years. Barksdale will always be a player certainly in terms of my filming. I filmed a number of episodes over the years. Bel Air Fitness in Bossier City. So Bel Air Fitness was there from 2013 to 2017 when I joined Planet Fitness. Certainly that's an open location where I can just pay a visitor's fee and go. And that's a really good filming location. So you don't be surprised if you see some me filming from Bel Air as well as Barksdale Air Force Base, of course. And then the deep dive that I want to evaluate based on my last visit, I saw some ads during some football games on ESPN, and that is D1 training. D1 training, so a training based, for athletes, essentially, for just in the interest of time. And so why that is important to me is when you look at Louisiana being in the Southeastern Conference, and so again, very big area in terms of athletes and athleticism, and then particularly if they can get scholarships to that particular conference, and how there's certainly the need there, and certainly potential talent there in that area, and how D1 is going to shape that and perhaps prepare these athletes, elevate their level of athleticism and training and what they're able to do to get them ready to pursue those opportunities. So just want to evaluate D1 franchise. I'm very unfamiliar with them, but certainly want to study them in the future. And when I travel, and certainly you've seen some episodes with me, certainly traveling a few times over the years, but when I travel, so again, here, Fitness Friday Posi-TIPS, right? So we've got Hampton Inn hotels, and as I discovered last year during the COVID-19 situation, and I really just started to love Hampton Inns, because why? They have a pretty good, not 100%, but a pretty good concentration or penetration of Precor cardio equipment. And so, I love the Precor EFX. And so they tend to have as well as many Marriott hotels, and Marriott, just been Marriott loyalty rewards member for a number of years, but certainly now just paying more attention, like where can I find Peloton? I'm just a very big Peloton fan, as you all have talked about Peloton over the years. Other hotels certainly is an opportunity where they have fitness centers and they don't have a Peloton. That's always good, again, to break me outside of that Precor experience, pardon me. And so then what I have here is privately owned gyms. Yeah, that's right, I put that there because privately owned gyms, in terms of my own experience and exposure over the years, that is an area where I was light on experience and light on exposure. And that's part of the reason why, in the fall of 2021, I said, let me go in a different direction and look at Fit Nation. because privately owned, individually owned, because that is an area where I have very limited experience. And so there's lessons and growth opportunities for me within that particular sector that I look forward to taking advantage of. And lastly, community gyms, always. Community, whether it be YMCA or some city's rec center that has a fitness center, in the absence of other options, community gyms is always an option. I've got a lot of experience and exposure in that area as well. So that's what I'm doing right now in the fall 2021 on into 2022. That's what my own development looks like. So again, looking at areas where I don't have a lot of experience and exposure, what can I do to gain some exposure and some experience in that area to just give me a more well-rounded perspective as I sit here before you. It's very, very important for me from an accountability standpoint. Yeah, I don't have anyone kind of over me, mandating things here on Fitness Friday, but there's certainly a role I take very, very seriously. Very seriously. You all know that. Watch me one episode or from day one. I take this very, very seriously. And so when I talk to you about, again, the power of perspective and the power of accountability and how I hold myself accountable during these episodes, but I also want to give you a quick story time on an example where I know I've got too many vulnerabilities to really hold people accountable in this situation. And this just occurred to me Monday night when I was on Nextdoor. And so long story short, here in my condo, like many, we have a HOA, homeowners association, and they have a board of directors of that. And so I can tell you, I know the chair of the board, and that chair of the board has been here since our property was first built. He came along in phase 1, I came along in phase 2. I used to see him all the time at Powerhouse when I was a member. And so he's been here. His brother was the site manager for the property when it was built. So very long-standing individual who's had leadership of this property all of these years. And so one thing I realized Monday night in that situation was, again, I had the vulnerability of, okay, I know this person. I just have a lot of respect and appreciation for this person who's had a very tough leadership role because, our property has a lot of challenges because it's very transient. We have a lot of people coming and going all of the time. So there's just, a lot of problems. So at annual meetings, there's never enough people to meet quorum, and so it's just a lot of challenges, but he's just hung in there with a good attitude, and he really loves this property. He loves it, and he's just dedicated so many time and so many hours. But as a result of that, I had the vulnerability in terms of just saying, whereas we now have many, many new residents that have come, and Nextdoor, you've all been on Nextdoor, people post stuff all the time. And so we have some people that are, why is this going on? Why is that going on? Why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? And I thought to myself Monday night, I said, you know what? This is a good thing. These other people are holding the individual accountable to what's going on, what's happening, what's not happening, why is it happening? Whereas me, I'm thinking, our property, our community is great, everything is wonderful, but I also recognize that I have the vulnerability, like I've been here too long, I've seen too much. And I also, again, know the individual who is the chair of the board. Now, I don't see him very often. If I do, it's probably a few times a year, and it's outside, walking, he's walking or something like that. But just that is a situation where we also recognize, yes, we can hold people accountable and all of that, the power of accountability. But also, we got to recognize when we have some blind spots, when we have some vulnerabilities where it's like, well, you know what? I'm probably not the best person to hold, this situation and these people accountable because I'm just, okay, how are our property values doing? Is our community stable? What's going on? Okay, all that's great. Okay, wonderful. But there's the other people that are like, why this? Why that? Why that? And it's just stuff happens on Nextdoor and people say all this stuff. And it's just really, really interesting. But they are in a good position, that fresh blood in the property that holds the people accountable, which is a wonderful thing. I mean, that kind of stuff needs to happen, but we got to recognize sometimes we're not in the best situation. But fortunately, there are other people who are, and things happen that way. And so, want to close this episode out, folks, by highlighting the power of accountability and how seriously I take this role. And this is, never formally talked about. I've scratched the surface by just highlighting and how I fundamentally flawed I find, multi-level marketing schemes and obviously pyramid schemes and things like that over the years, certainly in the last year. And certainly I want to spend some time here as I close out this episode just talking more just giving you some quick highlights here because this could be a 15-part series on my thoughts on the perils of multi-level marketing schemes. All right, and so when we think about it, and the reason why I'm highlighting this, and I feel like I'm giving, like I said last week, I'm dignifying this business model by giving it airtime, because that is because I want to challenge your thinking and certainly protect you. I'm sure many of you have been approached, if not on a professional level, certainly on a personal level, with somebody with this pitch of, oh, whether it's, you can get rich in 3 months or 6 months, all the way to, and this is where during the coronavirus pandemic, yes, that sector, particularly health, fitness, and wellness-oriented ones, have seen a lot of growth. I've mentioned that this year on a few episodes. But you have to recognize, from a traditional kind of bricks and mortar facility, the challenge that they can represent. Because, I don't have time to get into that aspect, but if you Google MLM or multi-level marketing nutrition clubs, you need to be aware that they are there and they are growing rapidly. I've seen those all over the place in different locations. And so many cases, because again, they're not formally allowed, contractually allowed to formally advertise. And so I can look at them, I can look at the names where it'll be 1, 2, or 3 words before the word nutrition, and I can look at the color schemes, I can identify them pretty quickly. But you need to recognize, you need to recognize that they're there, because number one, if a facility is selling product and supplements in this, because they can't advertise, many of them are locating within close proximity to gyms and to fitness centers and studios and the like. Why? Because in that particular situation, theoretically, you have, foot traffic. Ultimately somebody they're going to X gym, and then you're over there 2 doors down at the strip mall, then perhaps you're going to have some organic foot traffic that wouldn't happen otherwise. So just kind of be mindful of that, recognize that it's there. I don't have time to go into that, but you got to recognize. So if a facility is selling training, and then you've got some of these, and not painting them all with a broad brush, again, because I'm sure there's some that are just 100% ethical and doing things by the books, and haven't had any problems or challenges. But this is just a very challenging business model overall. And so, it's just for several different reasons, several different layers I'm about to get here to in a second, but you got to recognize. So somebody, an individual or facility, is selling personal training, if they're selling their own supplements and things like that, and then you've got, multi-level marketing company, independent distributors saying, well, you don't need to do that. The only thing you need to do if you want to lose 20 pounds is take 2 meal replacement shakes a day, and you'll achieve your goal. So see, you got to understand the threat to traditional, particularly bricks and mortar. But I have to be fair and balanced and say, and this isn't just here in Metro Detroit when I've seen it, because I've researched this, I've done deep dives, and recognize that this is happening all over the place, where you have and individual and privately owned facilities are certainly more vulnerable to that. Just generally speaking, not always, but walking into a privately owned facility and they've got these multi-level marketing products themselves, or they are independent distributors for the companies themselves. And so, it's just, I will in 2022 really do a huge, like a series or something where you can really I can talk about just some of the deep dives and specifics and the challenges, where all of a sudden somebody joins a gym, but then they have staff members or the owner that's really kind of pushing these products. You really need to buy this, you really need to buy that. Or because recruiting is a big part of this model, this multi-level marketing model, trying to recruit their members into, okay, well, you can also sell this. You can also be a distributor. You can also, do this and that. So there's just so many different challenges that I just really don't have time to get into regarding the fitness industry and how these things have played out and developed. And so what I want to do, I mind mapped just some of the challenges that I view with this business model, and some of the challenges. Now, like I said, there's certainly been ones that have been upstanding, that have been ethical, have not had legal challenges and problems. So we don't want to just 100% paint the whole industry with a broad brush, but it's fair to say many have had challenges along the way. And after COVID-19, when the pandemic began, a number of the health and fitness and wellness oriented ones received warning letters from the FTC, or the Federal Trade Commission, for making improper claims, deceptive claims. All right, don't have time, but just Google that. You can learn more on your own. But I just want to spend some time just quickly going through some points on each of these challenges that I've identified in this deeply flawed model. And in the interest of time, I'm going to start off with marketing. And so marketing, and the reason why I have a star by it is marketing, when I've been pitched on these things, and I just, you can imagine with these type of objections that I'm going to raise, the conversation doesn't last long. And quite frankly, it doesn't move past this marketing phase. And so why is that? So from my perspective, you have the four P's, commonly known, four P's of marketing. So you have product, price, promotion, and place. Place or placement can be distribution. It's distribution. So when you think about those four fundamental aspects of the four P's of marketing and how this business model just struggles within that framework alone before I get to all of this other things. So if you think about product, okay, so what competitive advantage do these products, do these multi-level marketing products have? What are their competitive advantages? What are their unique selling propositions? All right, so if truly, from a marketing standpoint, if the products were truly superior and offered superior competitive advantages and unique selling propositions, mass market retailers such as Walmart, Sam's, Costco, CVS, Walgreens, Rite Aid, all of them would be all over it, particularly in the health, fitness, and wellness-oriented categories. They all love products that are and products that are going to sell well, that are going to do well. All right, but if your product is average, and you're particularly in the health, fitness, wellness oriented, where you have these supplements that are not regulated by the FDA, so claims are able to be made, and claims are made, and there's just a whole lot of challenges there within that. Okay, the mass market retailers, as I stated, would be all over it if truly the product were, again, top notch, and what many of these distributors, regardless of company, claim them to be. Right, then you have price. Okay, these products are more expensive than what you're going to find in competitive products within the same class. All right, so people, as a general rule, okay, so if you're paying more, there needs to be some serious competitive advantages, some serious unique propositions there. But in the absence of that, do you just go and get some protein bars from your local mass retailer to save a lot of money versus what somebody may sell you, within this, who's a distributor for this particular company? Promotion. What does the marketing plan look like? What is happening? And so in the absence of that, they're not running national ad campaigns. All right, they are looking to the distributors, or the quote unquote sales force, commission only based sales force, to promote these products. And that is a very tough thing from a marketing perspective. Very, very tough thing. So that's why you see them, all over the place, just various means trying to reach people, trying to make this thing happen. And so once again, if you have a product that's superior, has serious competitive advantages, and it has a reasonable price point, again, you're going to have national, again, depending on how the marketing plan is certainly developed, you would expect to have a national marketing strategy. If a product is, quote unquote, for lack of a term to borrow from the vernacular, if a product or a service is all that in a bag of chips, all right, make everyone aware. All right, make everyone aware. Have a national campaign where you're not relying on these random individual distributors to market the product for you. There's just so many challenges and so many problems that can occur and that have occurred. And certainly put some of these companies in legal jeopardy based on the claims their independent distributors have made about products and services. And lastly, distribution, placement, 4P, place or placement. Where is the product found? Is there mass retailers? Are they interested? No. These individual distributors, independent distributors, have to order the product themselves, and then they sell it to other people. So just from the 4 P's of marketing alone, when in these conversations, when I'm pitched, we don't get past the marketing, because those are just very tough obstacles to overcome, because that's right off the bat, challenging, very challenging business model, deeply flawed from the marketing, from the get-go, right off the bat. All right, and so from a sales standpoint, selling is tough. So you have people that have never sold before because you're just, again, recruiting and recruiting other people to join your organization or downline, what they call it, what it's called, is very, very tough. So you have people that haven't sold before. You have people that struggle with the fear of rejection. You have people that just don't want to be in that situation, period, but they were persuaded that it's a friend or a family member or someone else, someone in a position of authority recruited them into this organization. And so selling, regardless of what you're selling, is not easy. All right, and so then when you're selling a product or a service where you don't have competitive advantages, when you have a more expensive product or service, it's just very, very tough from an HR standpoint. So again, there's no formal structure in terms of the HR having a role to protect the organization or to certainly to protect the individual distributors and just ensure things are done and it just, many of these organizations, product-based ones, will rely on compliance, and that's if individual distributors get in trouble, do things that aren't right, then compliance will jump in and say, well, we're terminating your contract or we're suspending you, whatever the case may be. So just HR that would really be able to come in and kind of make some things happen and just create some systems and some processes and procedures in place that are non-existent for the sales force. They can be terminated at any time and just there's just a lot of problems and a lot of constant turnover amongst sales reps in this area. Legal problems. Don't have time certainly to get into all of this, but several of them have faced litigation based on product claims, based on adverse events and reactions that have happened to customers that have purchased the products. And certainly distributors suing the companies and then companies suing distributors. But anyway, there's just a lot of legal challenges that have happened, certainly not with all of the organizations, but certainly some. The legitimacy, just the model itself just has a lot of problems, a lot of challenges. Credibility I have here, just, it is what it is. It is what it is. Next, relationships. Again, from the recruiting standpoint, or even if you're selling a product or a service, where you begin to all of a sudden, and I'm sure many of us have been in this situation where relationships are all of a sudden commercialized, where all of a sudden it's not, my friend so-and-so, and all of a sudden this person is a prospect in a sales situation that creates a whole nother level and an added pressure on an individual in a relationship when all of a sudden that person is a way for you to earn income, a means to an end, certainly of lack of a better way of saying it, but just commercializing your friendships and relationships where, when all of a sudden sometimes somebody may avoid you because you're promoting the product constantly or block you or just refuse to communicate with you. It's caused a lot of relationship problems, marriages, relationships ending. It's just a very, very tough toll that can certainly happen. Training, again, I'm a training professional. So when you just have a bunch of random people that all of a sudden say, okay, well, I'm going to hold this training, all right, and there's no, again, particularly we just want to focus on product and service for the fitness, health, and wellness-oriented ones, where, okay, this is the product, here's some key selling points, make it happen, all right, and the person isn't, a pharmacist or, a physician, and just really can articulate, just, on a molecular level, what is happening with some of these products, and you just have, quite frankly, depending on which company it is, you just have a bunch of random people who are just like, I want to buy into this, I want to sell this, I want to recruit for this company. And there's just, credentials, what I have here, lack of credentials. You have people that have no nutrition training, they're not registered dietitians, talking to individuals about their diet and their dietary needs on a daily basis. People out there, independent distributors promoting that. All right, and then reputation, just the reputation, of the industry, and that's why certainly if you've been invited to, a pitch session or an opportunity call or whatever the case may be, many cases they won't tell you right up front, this is what it is, this is the company, this is what it is, this is what you'll be doing or selling, this is the opportunity, and I've certainly been there myself several years ago, folks. A quick story time, several years ago, I was in Grand Rapids at a professional development conference. So it was Friday through Sunday, And I had a fellow church member here in Metro Detroit, invited me. Oh, it's going to be a time of just fellowships. Several people from the church. We're going to get together. We're going to fellowship, and it's going to be great. So I remember it was at 4:30 p.m. on a Sunday. So I left that conference early, drove back 2 hours from Grand Rapids to this area, folks. And I get there, and it was an Amway presentation, and I was furious. Fortunately, I've always been known to be cool, calm, and collected. So, I didn't cause a scene or cause any problems, but I immediately got up and left. But see, that is a situation where, if this was were as wonderful as you say it is, you would have told me ahead of time and let me make the decision on whether or not I want to attend. But I left a professional development opportunity, and I was so upset. And many, many thousands and millions of people across this country have experienced the same thing. Where somebody's kind of roped you in, and you show up, and why didn't you tell me that this was what this was, and you wasted my time. And again, that relational piece, because I never viewed that person the same ever after that. I mean, it was cordial hello, but that was it. I mean, basically the friendship ended that day, a fellow church member. And so, because again, you didn't tell me the truth, and I don't need people like that in my life, quite frankly. And that's how that was. And so math, the last two examples are, challenges and issues that I have, math. So you study and you become familiar with exponential math. This is just that concept that you are eventually going to run out of people. Within this whole concept of, it's unlimited income opportunity, there's unlimited number of people that can buy this product or service, and then you can recruit an unlimited number of people. And all of these things are going to happen, and it's going to be wonderful. But the concept of exponential math will shut that down quickly. Because what happens is, the power of exponential math, when you reach a certain number of levels, you are going to exceed the number of people on the planet. Bam. All right, and so you've got to understand this concept of exponential math. So when somebody is coming to you saying, particularly, again, somebody who is in a vulnerable situation where, everybody's going to love this. Everyone needs this product or service. That is impossible. There is no such thing as an infinite market. Right? All markets are finite. All markets are finite. All right, and lastly, probability and understanding probability theory and statistics. And I won't get into certainly a deep conversation on that to say, research has shown, it's not just me talking. Research has shown by the FTC, have studies. Okay, there's a 99% failure rate with this particular model. 99% failure rate. So again, if you get into it early, if somebody is starting one and you're one of the people at the top, it is research, and certainly trends have shown those are the people that tend to do well. But for the average person, failure is there's a 99% chance it's not going to work out. You're not going to make money. You're going to lose money, and this is regardless of type, whether we're talking about the fitness and wellness oriented ones or not. Other types. All right, it's a very challenging business model for the reasons that I just listed. And the reason why I wanted to highlight this is I had finally closed this episode out is just the fitness, health, and wellness industry. You have people, like I said, that are running gyms and studios that have integrated this model into their operations, where all of a sudden a person isn't just joining a gym or a studio or whatever. Now they're being talked to about, yeah, great, member so-and-so, would you like to join this opportunity? Would you like an opportunity to become a distributor? All right, so this is just one of the ways that it's happening. You have nutrition clubs sprouting up all over the place. So just recognize, if you haven't been approached already, you probably will be. Again, a corporate chains, no, it's certainly highly unlikely. You may get approached, but it's going to get shut down. Why? Because, number one, they're typically going to have their own types of supplements and products that they're selling, all right, and promoting. But also they're going to have legal and general counsel to protect them in those type of situations to say, no, we don't want any part of that. This is, it's probably already in the policies and procedures book as it is. But again, the smaller independent who may be more vulnerable, particularly during this COVID time where you've lost a lot of members and you've struggled in that area, I just want to challenge you to really think things through. Think this through. before you decide, well, yes, I can do this and I can do that. Okay, from a marketing standpoint, those 4 P's of marketing. How successful are you going to be? What are the chances of success when you are responsible for the marketing? That is a very tough thing. There's a reason why national advertisers have national campaigns, all right, or salaried sales forces, all right, and certainly in combination with that or in absence of. There's one or both of those that's happening because it is tough, particularly if you've got a new product or service and you're launching and you're expecting a bunch of random people that are not employees, that are independent distributors, it is just a very, very tough road. And so I just see this from the fitness industry standpoint. There's a lot happening in this area, and I just want you to be aware. Do your own research, do your own deep dives, and come to your own conclusions. Create your own opinions on this model, but I just want to make sure you are aware of it, because you may or may not have been, pitched a fitness, wellness, health-oriented one, or product or service or opportunity, but you will be if you haven't already, and certainly those without this, outside of this space. I mean, they've reached out to me on LinkedIn like you wouldn't believe, because I'm not on traditional social media like that. So they find me on LinkedIn, and I shut it down. Like I said, it never gets past the marketing, the 4 P's of marketing. The very first step is shut down before I even have a chance to get to all of this, because it is what it is. It is what it is. And I had one actually a few months ago of somebody who was in ACN, try to recruit me, and now all of a sudden she's not even in it anymore, and I just wanted to be like, yeah, I told you so. But, and again, I actually asked that person, can I just, because, after a number of years and these people have been reaching out to me, like, what is it? Why are these people reaching out to me? Don't I look like I'd be able to see through this? You're reaching out to me on LinkedIn. And this person said, you know what? People are reaching out to you because we know you can sell and we know you'd be able to recruit. So that was insightful for me, because I was kind of insulted. Like, do you really think with the challenges of this model that I'd be interested in this? And I say that humbly and I say that respectfully, folks, because there are folks from all walks of life that have fallen prey to this and have experienced challenges. I mean, doctors, lawyers, just every type of profession imaginable in these type of situations. Fitness professionals, right, that have been in these situations. So there's no kind of what type of person would or wouldn't do it. It permeates all aspects of society, all types of people, all categories, socioeconomic statuses. So very, very important again. And so I was just like, okay. But the thing of it is, I am not interested in selling. I'm not interested in recruiting. I made a decision a number of years ago. This whole industry for me personally and professionally is off limits, because with the flaws of this model, quite frankly, I'm on the record here. Like, I want no part of it. I've never wanted any part of it. But I just feel a professional responsibility to make you aware, folks. Just to make you aware. Just think long and hard. You got to hold yourself accountable. What was the purpose? What is your purpose within the fitness space? What is your purpose within the fitness industry? Evaluate opportunities. Evaluate, pitches and things that are brought up to you. Google is your friend. There's a whole lot of research, regardless on which company you're talking about, what the model is. Just do your homework. Do your homework. But to me, marketing has been the fatal flaw right off the bat. And I certainly, I take a different tact on that, because people typically don't mention kind of the marketing piece, but that marketing is just, you're talking about saturated markets where there's no limit on the number of distributors in any given market, so they're competing with one another. I mean, it's just, and I'm just kind of grateful once again to Northwestern, where I'm able to kind of look at that and just say, what, this model is just, from day one, I want no part of this in any form or fashion. So folks, that is all I have for you on the power of accountability. So next time, I'm going to close out this series and close out the year on the power of pretense. The power of pretense. So stay tuned for that, folks. But until then, remember, I am positively passionate about your fitness, success, and leadership. Happy holidays, and make it a great